In times of turbulence, when wars ravage humanity and the world feel directionless, a new voice slowly emerges on the horizon of the world. He is invited to address the United Nations Security Council, UK House of Lords, European Parliament, Quai d'Orsay of the French Foreign Ministry, World Economic Forum at Davos, and other high places in the world. France 24 television channel introduced him recently.
Sandeep Waslekar is the president and co-founder of the Mumbai-based Strategic Foresight Group, an international think tank on the global future that has worked with more than 60 countries. He's also the author of several books, including one in the Marathi language, which is now in its 22nd edition. Sandeep Waslekar, thank you very much for being on the interview with us. 22nd edition, that must be a record in India, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
More than 15 Nobel laureates in peace and physics have collaborated with Sandeep Waslekar.
Number of wars are declining. Wars are becoming internal rather than intrastate. Then why are we spending so much of money on armament? Why are we modernizing our weapons? Why are we inventing new kind of weapons? Is there in our subconscious a preparation for war going on? And this is what we wanted to make you aware. But it's not just the fear of a possible war that was behind our thought for issuing the Normandy Manifesto. There is also the hope that we have. Humanity has shown time and again over thousands of years that human race is resilient. When there are problems, we have an ability to find solutions.
In 2019, he co-signed Manifesto for World Peace with 4 Nobel Peace Laureates and a well-known British philosopher to revive the spirit of the Russell-Einstein Manifesto. Soon afterwards, Sandeep delivered an oration at Oxford University. He reiterated Mahatma Gandhi's message of peaceful coexistence. His organization, Strategic Foresight Group, has worked with leaders of 65 countries from 4 continents.
So Gandhi said that in a world full of anarchy, the nations can choose to live with peaceful coexistence. That's the choice they can make. And if they make that choice, they can replace anarchy by cooperation. And it's a matter of choice that the nations make.
Many world leaders invite him to discuss how to give a new direction to the governance of the world. These include UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, former Swedish Prime Minister Stefan Löfven, Prime Minister of Spain Pedro Sanchez, Prince Michael of Kent, Prince Hassan of Jordan, Senegal's President Macky Sall, British leaders Lord Alderdice, and Sir Graham Watson, and many others. Sfg Av, founder and CEO of Strategic Foresight Group, introduces the main initiatives of the organization.
Since 2020, Strategic Foresight Group has been working on transforming global governance. We were instrumental in taking water, peace and security to the Security Council. We are working with other organizations to help review the Charter of the United Nations, and we are currently in Geneva chairing the P5 process to bring together the P5 countries to look at issues of nuclear risk reduction.
France 24 featured SFG's work on peace and global governance.
I just very quickly want to look at your organisation's Strategic Foresight Group and the work that it does in seeking to anticipate problems. How do you go about dealing with that? How do you approach governments? What sort of advice, very briefly, do you give them?
Well, basically, we act as a voice of reason. We understand the geopolitical realities, and we understand that it's in the nature of the nation states to aggrandize their interest.
Yeah.
But it's also in the nature of nature states to ensure their survival and survival of their people.
Yeah.
So we have to find pragmatic ways whereby they think their interests are not compromised, but at the same time, they are in a position to serve the greater interest of humankind. And that requires an innovative approach, and that's what we are for.
Sandeep Waslekar is the author of a profound book, A World Without War. It is being discussed all over the world. It is published in French. And in 2025, it will come out in Spanish and Marathi as well. At a book discussion in Mumbai, he explained why it is possible to create a world without war.
We need to find these solutions, including those which are there in my book and which are there in discourse generally globally. Not only because our survival is at stake, but also because I believe that hope is feasible. Also because I believe that it is possible to turn violence into peace. Also because I believe it is possible to convert darkness into light. It is also because I believe it is possible to move from death to life. It is possible to end wars. It is possible to unite the world. And it is possible to make Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam a living reality.
This is not naive idealism. He warns the world about dangers that can end human civilization.
We live in the most dangerous epoch in the history of human species. Over the last 75 years, we have accumulated 10,000 nuclear warheads. There were 66,000 in the 1980s. They have come down to 10,000, but their lethality has increased. And we are not satisfied with that. We are trying to develop even more cataclysmic weapons. Not only that, we are handing over the control over weapons to machines and to algorithms. Artificial intelligence is taking over. Hypersonic missiles, deadly pathogen, lethal autonomous weapons. These are the weapons of not only tomorrow, but these are the weapons of this evening. And they both refer to the existential crisis faced by humanity, not only on account of nuclear arms race, but also pandemic and overreach of some of the technologies. And what we have today is that some of these crises, which they have mentioned and one or two others, they are civilizational crises. But our response is very nationalist. There are 193 countries on the roll call of the United Nations. Out of these 193 countries, 23 countries do not have armies or ministries of defense or armament. So 23 countries have completely disarmed themselves. Now that is quite remarkable. That's almost 10% of the membership of the United Nations. We need a global regime to regulate the use of emerging technologies in their application to the weapons of final destruction or even weapons of mass destruction. We absolutely need a global regime, and I think India and other countries should take a lead in ushering in this regime. And it's in our national self-interest. And I'll tell you why. We were nowhere there when NPT was negotiated. And we ended up having a discriminatory NPT which draws an artificial line on a path of history, and you are on the wrong side of that line.
The haves and the have-nots.
The haves and the have-nots. Blue peace is my vision. Now what is blue peace? Blue peace is transforming water from a potential source of crisis into a potential instrument of peace and cooperation.
How do we look outside the water box? Climate change and new technologies matter.
United Nations Security Council convened a meeting on water, peace and security for the first time in history due to the efforts of Strategic Foresight Group.
Je donne à présent la parole à M. Sandeep Waslekar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to compliment the government of Senegal and Your Excellency, Minister Mankar, for convening this debate on water, peace and security, which I understand is happening for the first time in the history of the Security Council. I would like to take this opportunity to address 3 questions. 1. Why should the UN Security Council address the linkage between water, peace and security? 2. What is that the Security Council can do to create a positive relationship between water and peace? And 3. What is that the UN system and the international community can do? The Secretary General, in his briefing, already pointed out how water can be a source of crisis. He also pointed out how water can be a source of cooperation. One of the greatest challenges of our time is how to transform water from a potential source of crisis into a potential instrument of cooperation. Considering that the impact of management of water is not always confined to one region, but there is always a risk that it can have implications for different regions of the world. Considering that there is a positive relationship between water cooperation and comprehensive peace and security, and considering that water can make a useful contribution to the achievement of SDG 16, I urge the Security Council members to apply their mind to see if they can find some unconventional, some unprecedented way to proclaim water as a strategic asset of humanity.
In the 2020s, SFG will focus on artificial intelligence, nuclear arms race, UN reforms and issues on the frontier of the global agenda.